because it's island that is a historic island for many years till today. And today, we won't be involved in the European Union generally, but we're going to focus on the Ionian Islands, and we are going to examine whatever has been made till today, and you are going to find out of the speaking that we are going to discuss afterwards. All these years throughout the Union has come out, and we have great speakers either here or through the online access, and we are going to discuss about the challenges, and we can see what we are going to do in the future in an era that has a lot of changes that can guide us in order to have prosperity the next years. So the theme of our event today has to do with the dream, the reality, and the future. And I'm going to call Ms. Rodi Kalcha, the governor of region of Ionian Islands. Thank you, Ms. Liberaki. Mr. Minister, all members of the government, ladies and gentlemen, friends, good afternoon to everybody. I would like to thank you to be here, your presence here, and of course, your cooperation and attendance to the internet of this event. 40 years of the incorporation of our country in the United European Union, the 1st February of 1981, that became true, and Greece to again the Europe. And maybe the crisis that we have to the dictatorship, we found out again the Europe where it belongs historically and culturally with common goals. There was the words that Mr. Konstantinos Karamanlis was used as words of this European orientation for our country. Then there were a lot of disagreements on that because they didn't understand the importance of that situation. The era and the period of time where Greece was looking for the democracy and the opportunities of prosperity of Greek people. They didn't understand the historical importance of this change because the demand of the Greek people were how to establish the geopolitical policies and reactions. If we go back to the past, we can see that finally, in every historical period of time, even though we had some financial, political, and different situation, all Greek people, we had a realism and observation, a dream for our country, because Greek started as a new journey of a secure port in a European family that was powerful under the democracy and cooperation with many other countries. And that's why Greek has changed. And we can see that as citizens of this country, and we can see it as citizens in this region and generally in every island. Greece has a loyalty and new laws as a member of this European unit with respect to the human rights. And the dialogue, the common dialogue become more true as our poetry said, national is whatever is real. And afterwards, Greeks succeed in political cooperation and of course society cooperation, and was the only route in order to have democracy and security that the European Union gave us. 40 years later, it is obvious that we have a difference all around us because we can see infrastructures, education, and in other educational infrastructures, and we can see regional cooperations that has to give some new capacities to our regions in order to go on and to see the future positively. And now we have the self-esteem and we have the dream with all the other Europe in order to achieve whatever challenges come in front of us. We are determined with Europe again, with new geographical policies to give in Greece all this development and all this cohesion that we need. At the same time, Europe, it is has a great democracy part that has to boost and have the power to all these negotiations. As a country that it is in the center of Europe and has proven that estimates and gives back all this dream of this European completement, we have to take these weapons and all these new weapons that come arises after the pandemic period of time in order to use them, all the policies and political weapons that we have in order to reassure the new route of Europe and new Europe under the democracy and in order to help in them for all the values and hopes and dreams of our country. The Ionian Island will be there in this new challenge, and we have already prepared in order to face and succeed all challenges that has to do with the development and take all the opportunities that are taken in all the geographical policies and all the weapons that we have, the fund, the recovery fund that we have never dreamed, as I personally know. And we didn't even dream this recovery fund that would be in our European citizens and all European countries, a new ESPA, a new common policy for agriculture, and many new digital and green transformation. At the same time, Ionian Islands give their presence in the communication in Europe because the Ionian Island has the historical value because they were always the port and the bridge with the Europe because here the European values were born of all the independence and liberty. They were here in order to give a chance to the all the Greek people these years. We are friends of Europe historically, and as Miss Liberaki told, here today has the signature of European history in this aula in order to honor all our historical values and we can be responsible for our future. At this event that would be held here, we'll have all these challenges under consideration, and I thank all the participants and the speakers that would travel here to be here in Corfu today. Either they are online connection, through their online connection to speak about it, and all their talking today would have to do with the financial environment that we are going to develop and show the goals that we have and of course the challenges that we have to the environment or the financial recovery and of course the great project of the environment and of course we're going to talk about our tools that we have about the development and as for especially as the region of Ionian Islands and all the tools that we have under consideration in order to, because we are islands and we have a lot of tourists here, so we have some characteristics that are different from other regions all around the Greek. I would like to thank you again, and starting from the European, the Foreign Affairs Committee, and we cooperate this event with the Office Manager of Operational Program in Ionian Island, and all the attendances, the speakers, whoever is participating here. And of course, we have the opportunity to be here in order to add this European character and historical identity to you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, and I will attend with you and watch with you all the speeches that are really important today. Ms. Governor, Ms. Grazia, thank you so much because you put the frame and you are going to, and you talked about the frame that all speakers are going to speak about the future under the COVID today. That's why we're so too close this event today, because the pandemic didn't approve us to be there more people, but the technology has helped us in order to listen some special people that has to, with their political or their academic presence, they give another value to the Europe, and they have a role, vital role. I will present you all the people here, and I will tell you that, ensure you that they're going to talk about really important things, and their messages are really important too. They are messages that have with a great importance, and I'm starting with Mr. Margaritis Schinas. He's the first Vice President of the European Committee of the Promotion of the European Way of Life, and had many decades in the European part, and he's here. And I think that you will find his message really interesting, because we can characterize it as a node in Ionian Islands.
Φίλες και φίλοι, αγαπητοί Ρόδοι, λυπάμαι που δεν μπορώ να βρίσκομαι σήμερα μαζί σας με φυσική παρουσία στο όμορφο Ιόνιο, σε μια από τις πιο δυναμικές περιφέρειες της Ευρώπης και στον τόσο εμβληματικό χώρο, εκεί που συναντιόσαστε, εκεί που πραγματοποιήθηκε η Σύνοδος Κορυφής το 1994. Σε αυτό το Ιόνιο του Όμηρου που γεφύρωσε τη Μεσόγειο με τον Ελίσποντο, το Ιόνιο των Ενετών, του Λίμπρο Ντόρο, των μεγάλων μας ποιητών, που η λάμψη του φώτισε την Ευρώπη. Το Ιόνιο της Επτανήσου και έπειτα της Ιόνιας Πολιτείας, των πρώτων αυτόνομων κρατηδίων στον ελλαδικό χώρο, το Ιόνιο του Καποδίστρια,
of Capodistria, he was the great importance and new European area in all these peaceful places. The Ionian, that is the crossword through the Europe and other countries, as for example France, Italy, throughout all these years and throughout the history. And the archipelagos, that is great importance with the history for having the dream of Europe. In other words, that Ionia was the first Greek. The islands of Ionia were great importance because they give the root of a civil and cultural orientation, because they were there before incorporating in Greece. They were grown and were determined and developed throughout all the difficulties and, of course, the great era of our Greece, as, for example, the incorporation of Greek people in European Union. And that's why we are celebrating today the 40 years of this incorporation. And this last 40 years, it is the greatest period of tide of peace, democracy, and prosperity that Greek people know. Every region, every part member of Greece was recognized that. My generation, we have the memory of people who had to fight against the wars, civil wars, or maybe any other difficulties. After that, Europe was there, a new Europe that developed again and give again the connection between the countries one Europe that we have great opportunities in order to have prosperity, peace, and democracy, that all this development was grown up. Throughout our ties, we have this union as a dream, and we transfer the Greek people from glass to steel infrastructures, as for example, the financial control, or maybe with more than 200 billion of euro support the health and the education in Greek people. And throughout these 7 years, from 2014 to 2020, more than 200,000 euros has to do and funded in order to have a better job opportunities or maybe educational opportunities only in the Ionian island regions, and whatever has to do with the tourism, the culture, the management, and of course, many other projects. 650 projects are here funded by the office manager and the operational programs that has to do with here in the region of Ionian Islands. Looking in the future, in the 7 years that are coming, we are waiting for the Ionian Islands some agreements and approvals, final approvals, and we are waiting more than 230 billion euros from the European Recovery Fund. And of this, in this, we don't have to talk about the investments that they are going to come and the Greek government will make through. All friends, dear friends, our Greece country made a lot of values, European values, its, and we have a great achievement. We are talking about it today in a new model that has to do with a new way of living, a European way of living. If we can combine and talk about the difficulties that we face due to the pandemic, if there is a tragedy that we are facing today, and many people were dead, but we have a lesson to take off. Is that this pandemic, even if changed our life, even if changed the root of the world, as you know, gave us new policies in European level, and we set bases for that we have never dreamed about. As for example, the mobility certification, in order to give the power and give the mobility throughout the countries again. And of course, the weapon of the recovery fund, the vaccination, the establishment of health throughout the Europe. And we were the first line of the world. And there's a vaccination program that is the greatest program in all history of humanity. And we have some vaccines that really secure for all people. And now we are dreaming of a new policy of health that give us the opportunity to be ready for the future and every challenge arise in the future. We have great funds here, and they are going to help us in order to reconstruct and make a more green and more flexible and more common Europe that will give modern opportunities to new people, to students, to people generally, and employees. And Greek is part of has a great part in the commerce throughout the world. We have participating in European Union just has the great monetary with value. We are ready to fight for the human affairs or the security. We are established that and we gave that. We took them. We are a country that the infrastructures and the shape that we have has many difficulties in order to talk about the refugees, about the external policies, and we have the vital role in many subjects. So we play a vital role on that. The new plan that has to do with the Greece 2.0 is a new project, European project, but Greek people has written it because we want to have a recovery the next days. And this is the European Greece that new generation of people is coming to take advantage and improve it with many more things, thoughts and policies that has to do with the cooperation and with goals for all of us. Dear friends, looking forward, we have to be prepared for the next day. And in this preparation, nobody's opinion is not here. With the new communication project that we have started the 9th of May, we have a mean of dialogue and communication with all the centers of taking agreements. And now Brussels don't have to speak, but people should speak. Our islands should speak. And I call you everybody to take part in this communication, to become a vital role of this communication, and all of us just to make new decisions of the future, to dream a new future that would be more beneficial for everybody and of course, of our country. Happy anniversary in order, and I hope we will be ready to make other events more united together. You can agree that his message was really vital and important. It was a message that was talking about the challenges, but also the new tools that we have, as for example, the financial control and the program 2021-20 for the next 7 years. And of course, in this event, we have to Mr. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Nikos Stendias, is here to talk, and he's responsible to talk about all the diplomacy that we have, and he underlines all the benefits that Greece has gained from the participation in the European Union, and he stands that Greece has his natural place of all Europe as has to do with the culture. And he's talking about the prosperities that Greece has. I'm really happy to be here and give you my welcome to this event that has to do with the 40 years of the Greek's cooperation in the European Union. I would like to thank the governor of region of Ionian Islands, Rodi Kratsa, and I would like to say that I'm really glad to be here. As Greek person, and of course coming from Greece, I'm really proud of our country and of our country that was made in the European Union throughout the years. Unfortunately, till today, many people believe that the development it is something that we have under advantage, but they don't remember that it comes as a result of our participation in the European Union, the security that Europe offers us, and we have great equality in taking decisions, the freedom of mobilizing throughout the countries, and many other examples of the benefits that we have from the Europe. We are not members of the European Union because we take the benefits. We belong to Europe throughout the history and the culture we have so many years. We are members, and of course, of these 40 years as a member, we had succeeded in a lot of things, but we have a great route and that didn't finish. So we have to take advantage as governors in a regional level, in a country level, in order to help our country and help our citizens to take more benefits. As Mr. Konstantinos Karamalis mentioned his message in January 1981, the day that the Greek become member of the European Union underlined the responsibility that we had in order to be united, in order to have a new vision of our country in many years. And today we're talking about this message because we can succeed even all the difficulties and all the wrong choices that was made throughout the years. But these words, Mr. Konstantinos Karamanlis told, are true till today. I hope a great success to your event today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we're going to talk about listen the message of Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Miltiadis Varvitsiotis, that has another point of view, more Mediterranean point of view. As I can tell you, in Athens, there was hosted an event that has to do with this Mediterranean national affairs. Good afternoon to everybody. I'm here in Kavouri that we have the meeting of all the ministers throughout Europe and Europe. Greece wants foreseeing to have a new point of view in the European Union, and we want all the Mediterranean countries to have a great role in all problems that arise throughout the Euro, as many other countries are members and they want to talk about their benefits. You know that participating and being member here in this meeting, I can't imagine what would happen if we didn't be members of the United European Union so many years ago. If the vision of Mr. Karamanlis wasn't come true, that vision started from 1960, and he believed that the future of Greece would be in the Europe. And that's why we orientate our actions to be there. And that was the prominent that would be benefit for us till today. Our incorporation in Europe, we succeed in being members that can't be denied of the East world. And of course, Greek people throughout the years and throughout the relation that we have with Europe all these 40 years, we decided to be in the center of the Europe. That's why with all these governors that came, all these three governors, we have some programs and projects that were really difficult for Greek people and Greek financial prosperities. But finally, today, all make true, and we are in the positive position to say that we can negotiate in Europe in order to export our products and, of course, to talk about great tourism in Greece. This policy is really benefit for us, and the last years we can talk about the benefits we gain for our health, as you can see, and we can talk about the green digitalization that we can achieve today and many other benefits that permit us and give us the security to open our limits to all European tourists and all European people that want to come to our country. I believe that, dear friends, that the event that you are organizing today in order to remember us and remind us how important was this incorporation is really important to take it and give it as the opportunity for any other governors in Greece, because we are going to discuss what we are asking for Europe. We are starting the dialogue, but we have to keep this dialogue open in order to have and gain the democracy between us and the Europe. We want to stop the Brussels talking and just listen to us in order to be determined with decision that we are passionate with all the European participation, and we want, and it is really important to express ourselves, express our proposals, be members of these dialogues, organizing your event, giving your proposals, either generally or personally, because it is really important to have a voice in Europe, and of course all people to be listened or what kind of Europe they want, because Europe is our house. And Europe, like our house, should be a house that can be determined to our needs and can give us solution to our needs. With these thoughts, I hope that you have a great future. Good luck to your event, and more. The most important is to have a happy anniversary to Greek people. Thank you, Mr. Vavitsiotis. And as you understand, he's repeating the call in order to participate to the dialogue, in order to talk about the Europe and the proposals that we have. As Mr. Schinas mentioned, we are going the Vice President of the European Parliament as a member of European Parliament, and he's going to talk about the benefits and and also the crisis and the difficulties that are really important for us. Good afternoon to everybody from Brussels. In 1981, Greece was the 10th member of the Europe after 10 years of negotiation. This year we are celebrating the 40 years of the incorporation Greece in European Union, and throughout these years we can see the responsibilities that our country gained, and more responsibilities came true. And in that, throughout these 40 years, we gained a lot of benefits. Of course, there were periods of time that are really important and difficult for us, that will be connected with the capacity of the European Union to give some responses to some problems. And of course, the Greek people throughout this period of time gain and have to face problems as, for example, the financial crisis that we have, and of course, the refugee crisis that Greek people face. These 40 years in Europe, Greek have a great balance on that, and the results are really satisfying for our position because it was established, and that's why I said that it was really important for Greek people to be members of Europe. For financial, social, democracy, and policy reasons, today, the pandemic crisis gives us new challenges, but give us some disorders that we have, or maybe delays that we have. And from the first time of this crisis, there was a need to proceed in many more speedy ways in order to be more united, and find some practices in order to find solution and give the opportunity to reinforce the democracy and the discussion, communication of all people, and of course to the European Parliament to give the opportunity to talk and unite it and find solution to many programs. For the first time, the European Committee take some decisions that 1 year ago we didn't even thought about them. But the recovery funds and the financial control that we have, type of monetary that we have, a common monetary, were a solution that were really important, and we have to rethink and some rules and some laws that were really established till today. And of course, we have to think about the new future that we dream about after the Second Global War, and the opportunities that all people will gain to Greek people. It is a challenge in Europe in order to speed the time and, of course, the decisions that we're going to make in order to have a balance and a solidarity between all the countries that are members of Europe. We don't have to forget that the Europe was born at the ashes of some countries that weren't ready for the democracy and the inequality. And this part of Europe is ready. Today, Europe is more ready than ever. And today, Europe is something more than a united region that has to do with the commerce, or maybe to transfer things and products. The pandemic crisis gives us and reassure us the effort that we had in order to transport the Europe in one Europe that be really united and, of course, without exclusions or inequalities. That is what we have to put in the center of the communication and discussion in order to limit these inequalities and these any other changes the pandemic has made to every country in Europe, and make a new route, a common route that we are going to follow under the democracy, the solidarity, the fair, the humanity, and the development of all countries. Thank you so much. Thank you, the Vice President of the European Parliament, Mr. Papadimoulis, and we are glad to be here. Miss Governor, give us a message at the frame of the Europe. And indeed, if we didn't have the pandemic crisis, we have many other changes decades earlier. Maybe some people of this European family were sensitive really many years ago. Mr. Haas-Herberter, that's ex-president of the European Parliament, that had a great effort for 35 years and started in 1975 being a president of the European Parliament. And he thought that somebody was missing from the European Union, and that was Greece. And that were 1991, that missing wasn't there.
Dear participants of this very important conference, dear Rodi Kratzer, Governor of the Ionian Islands region and former Vice President of the European Parliament, and dear Rodi, I thank you so much for our excellent cooperation and friendship in so many years in the European Parliament, and especially when you were Vice President and I had the honor to work with you as President of the European Parliament. In 1979, if you may allow me to speak about this, I joined the Committee on Regional Development. And I remember some colleagues coming from Greece, two friends from Thessaloniki. And I always was convinced that we have to develop our regions and those areas of the European community, which is now the European Union, which are not so much developed. And we created a Mediterranean plan, and finally it was called Integrated Programs for the Mediterranean countries. And so I was so happy to be part of this discussion and this decision process of the European Parliament. And since 1981, with the contribution of our Greek colleagues, we have developed the European community, which is now the European Union. The European integration is a great story of progress. It's a great story of success. But there are dangers today as well. The legal situation in some countries of the European Union is challenged. We have the great problem of migration, and we cannot leave Greece alone with this problem. We have to make our borders strong, but on the same side, we have to allow asylum to people who are threatened in their own countries, maybe like Syria and others. So we have to cooperate as Europeans, Greece, Germany, and all the others. But I am convinced if we have a strong will, the European Union will have a good future. We see in many parts of the world authoritarian or even totalitarian systems, and they are a great danger for all our countries in the world. And the democracies have to stay together, and the European Union has to be strong, and we have to develop more and more a foreign security and defense policy, and at the same time to make our democracy strong in our countries. And Greece, as such an old democracy, can make a great contribution. And I thank you, participants of this conference on the island of Corfu, that you not only enjoy your stay on this beautiful island, but that you will make proposals for our common future in the European Union, which is a union of values, and its democracy, its freedom, its liberty, its peace, and a legal system of our countries that counts, and we have to defend it. And I think it's worthwhile that especially the young generation is committed to European integration, which is based on freedom and peace. So all my good wishes to you, and I say it with a position of solidarity and with my great admiration for Greece.
We would like to thank Ms. Pottering for his message of solidarity. And now we are going to see a great woman that has great and vital role. That was the Vice President of European Committee and the Commissioner of the Native and Fundamental Rights. And you are going to listen to her. Maybe you don't know, Ms. Viviane Reding reminds
Dear Greek friends,
wants to be here.
Thank you for having joined the family 40 years ago. And thank you for having brought the roots of democracy to our common history. The European Union is about economy, of course, and it was 40 difficult years, 40 years with progress, but always things went forward. The European Union is most of all about values, about the rule of law, about diversity, where everybody can find its place and give wealth and richness to the others by sharing. And the European Union is about sovereignty. We are surrounded by worldwide big continents. And if today and tomorrow we want to be ourselves, keep our diversity, build our future, then we have to be united. Thank you, Greece, for having been united with us during 40 years, and we are all looking forward to build our future together with you.
Vice Commissioner Ms. Viviane Reding. It is really important, and you know that this discussion was really important throughout the years, and that's why we are going to remain this challenge without changing. With a great honor, finally, that in this event we have a message from Ms. Ellen Glicardi-Alveler. Everybody knows her. Then you know that he's a Zindanian and historian rector, and was the first woman, the unique woman that is in the University of Sorbonne, and he is the president of European Center of Delphi. And from her message, Ms. Kratzer already mentioned, It's a great honor for us and what united us. Ms. Alvarez says that we are celebrating the 40 years of members of the European Union, and the history gives us the result that we will be Europe through many years. After the incorporation of Greek in Europe, it is an event, an anniversary. All anniversaries and the celebration have a past, except from the anniversary of Europe, because Europe, it is under construction. So, the anniversary for Europe, it is an anniversary that has a great future. And this future for Greece, it is really important. I would like to say that the Ionian Islands, there will always be in Europe. The Ionian Islands, except from Lefkada, were for sure the only region of Greece that didn't be Turkish. So Ionian Islands were always been Europe. There's no 40 years for Ionian Islands to be members of Europe, but we are 40 years for the united Europe, a Europe that, as Ms. Garcha Rodi said, and the governor of the Ionian Islands is the best person who represents the Ionian Islands. She's most European woman that could be in that position, and this is really responsible. See with responsibility and importance this united and incorporation. I would like to ask you to give us some minutes in order to find our position, because after our messages, we are going to start with 3 discussions, specific discussion, and what it is going on from now on. And I would like to ask for Mr. Stilios, Gilles Kepel, he's a civil scientist, and in global affairs, which has to do with civil science. And of course, we are talking about the digitalization. Mr. Minister, you can come, the Minister George Stilios. And the COVID situation, we're going permit us to have an online access with Mr. Theodoros Skylakis, Deputy Minister of Finance, responsible for the financial policies. We're going on with Mr. Panagiotis Liagovos, he's professor of University of Athens, and the youngest one, Mr. Vasilios Varsos. He is the President of Administrative Council, European Governor of Young People. You can see that online accesses, and you are not lucky as we are, because you are online and we are hosted in a great place here. And in this first discussion, I'm going to say that we're going to discuss about the future in our country. I would like to start with Mr. Skylakis. Give me the permission to start with Mr. Kepel, because he knows a lot of things about the democracy. And his last book was about the crisis in Mediterranean places. It is the center of the discussion today. Mr. Professor, I would like to have a general message about the European process throughout the years. Thank you so much. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm really glad to be here today and for the hostage today. We are celebrating today these 40 years of the participation as Mr. Adektoran said, I'm really glad to be here today in order to celebrate with you. I'm really sorry for my Greek, but it wasn't really good. Και με συγχωρείτε που δεν ήμουν προετοιμασμένος να μιλήσω στα ελληνικά.
Mrs. Kratsas asked me to insist on the fact that the European Union definitely is not only an issue of being together for our own sake, but it is also a major issue of having to work together against a number of challenges that we have in common and that we have to face. As you mentioned, the pandemic was one of those challenges and that we dealt with very adequately after me. But as someone who has spent his whole academic life dealing with the Mediterranean and the Middle East, I cannot but be worried by the fact that the European Union, I believe, is not taking seriously enough the huge challenges that come from the Mediterranean, and for which a country like Greece, just like a country like France or Italy or Spain, are now facing. And a few years ago, a few decades ago, the country which is some 2 or 3 kilometers from here, Albania, belonged to a different world because it was part and parcel of the communist world. And this between Corfu and Albania was the border between the free world and communism. Nowadays, the challenges have changed in the Mediterranean. As was mentioned earlier on by one of our distinguished guests, the issue of migration has now put the whole European Union system in danger. And Greece had to face not only waves of illegal migrants into the European Union, but also the fact that one of its most important neighbors in the east, i.e. Turkey, was using the very possibility of the entry or denial of entry of those immigrants, those illegal immigrants into the Union as a political weapon. And this is, of course, something which is intolerable and that has to be dealt with at the European level. Conversely, we had the same problems with immigrants from Libya, from Tunisia into Italy, through France into Germany, and now recently in Morocco towards Spain and the rest of Europe. If this is not dealt as it should, it will have many consequences, including within Europe, the rise of the extreme right political parties as a consequence and as a reaction, as we have seen already in Italy, in Spain, in Germany, of course, in France, and also in Greece. And I believe that this is not taken seriously enough at the European level. Maybe because Europe, in spite of all it brought to us, and it brought to us the fact that we are part and parcel of a single community now. This is why I try to say in a few words in Greek that I do not feel as a foreigner in this country at all. And I guess that Greeks don't feel as foreigners in France, in Italy, in Germany, and wherever. But we have to have a much stronger decision-making system at the European level to deal with the challenges in the Mediterranean. We have to have a much stronger common diplomacy and a much more decisive defense policy. And as you know, this is something which is heavily debated today at the European level. Some European countries do not want to engage into a more assertive defense policy because they believe that they can rely on under the umbrella of the United States. Others are convinced, and this is the case of President Macron in France, that if we are not more assertive in terms of defense, we will be unable to face the challenges of the future. So I believe that, to take and I will end there, a small example. Imagine that Greece were not in the European Union. Well, what happened or what did not happen in Castellorizo a few months ago might have turned into what happened in Nagorno-Karabakh, because due to the fact that Greece is a member of the European Union, there was a step that could not be crossed. Otherwise, the Union would have been compelled to react. But we don't have to wait for some provocations to be implemented, whether here or whether in the Ionian Sea also. And I believe that in this capacity, Greece should also make an alliance with the other European countries that push forward for a more cohesive common diplomacy and common defense policy, because it is in its very interest, because Greece is first and foremost concerned with it. So with this, I will end my short remarks. I know that many people and many very important guests are participating to this seminar, and I'm of course ready to take your questions. And I would like to thank again, cher Rodi, je te remercie beaucoup pour ton invitation.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ τον καθηγητή Κεπέλ. Συνοψίζοντας,
Thank you, Mr. Kepel. He answered in the model of Europe. Mr. Minister, he was talking about the geopolitical diplomacy and the common defense and the alliances that Greek people should have with other European countries in order to fight against the refugee problem that we have. But we have to focus here, Mr. Minister, to your part that might be more simple than the geopolitical level, but it's not in demand. The pandemic in Greece gave us the opportunity to have a digitalization effort and process, and it is unbelievable for our country. But there was really important to do things that we were stay back all these years. And as Ionian Islands, what we have to wait here? Thank you so much for the invitation, and the governor that invited me here, and the minister that are here today, and all the participants in attendance that will be here. I'm going to another part that we have to discuss in the ministry of our ministry, that has to do with the digitalization and what we have to transfer and transmit as a country. And the citizens would go near the governor and the country. This year was really important in many fields. And this 40 years of the incorporation of Greece in Europe, and of course 40 years of our history. We are in the first years of the 21st century, and as a member of Europe, we are the digitalization certification that we insured here in Greece after a proposal of Mr. Mitsotakis, and was adopted by the European Committee and became true in Greece and came true as other 7 countries throughout the Europe become true this certification. It is an approval that Greece can have a vital role in Europe. Last year, throughout the pandemic crisis, Europe had to take really important and vital decisions. And of course, I'm talking about the decision of having a recovery fund for all the countries that are members of Europe. From that fund, they will support the countries that are in great need in order to defend all the consequences of the pandemic crisis. The result of this is the RRF, the Fund of Recovery, and of course other ministers we are going to talk about it more specifically, but the goals of that recovery fund will be seen in the 7 years next. And this fund was created some more places of job orientation, and we have 7% more than we intended. You can see that these goals will give us great opportunities for the next years. And that is what is more important here, has to do with the digitalization and transformation in digital parts, and give us the opportunity to be more sacrificed, more speedy era of our public services. And I would like to remind you all the project that was become true in Greek, that started from the minister of Mr. Korakakis, and I'm in this team from January 2014, and the minister visioned that many years ago. And in these years, we are talking about the digital public services that last year, 2020, we have 94 billion services from that position. Last year, 2019, we had other services, and in 2019, the transaction between the citizens were 30 million. And you can see that throughout the years, we have a great advantage on that digitalization, and many citizens benefit from that, and we are going on. You can understand that all these transactions and these visitors help us in order not to have the citizens in the public structures. You can see how many time we gain from that, and we can transport and transmitting many more things, and we are changing the financial and the way we are living and the way we are facing some things. During the pandemic crisis, we have another freedom project in order to take under consideration and think about it, in order to help people, and we have a purpose to do them much more. I can remind you other projects, as for example, the vaccinating project was the government that give us the opportunity and inform us through the SMS and remind us that we have a vaccination appointment and we have to be there to that place in order to everybody to be there and be reminded about the vaccinating opportunity that the government gave us. You can see that, and I can see that from you that you're really glad for that transportation. We are in the Ionian Islands, and we have another program that our ministry gave us, give it to you. It is a program that has to do with all the islands and the recovery of the financial programs that has to do with the television, the public television. And we announced another program that 161,000 children will have the opportunity to be in that program, and about 4,000 villages will be members of that program, and they are going to be inscripted in the television, the public television. So they will have the opportunity to see and visiting from the next 8 years, that the cost will be covered by the government and the program from European funds, from ESPA. That is really important for us, and I can understand how important it is also for other people. There is another proof that how much we want to help people. I would like to say also, to talk about I would like also to talk about other things that the government have organized and make it more important. And what is it? Is the land registry that we reorganized so as to help many people in order to avoid the bureaucracy and many delays that they face all these years. With the cooperation with the Deputy Minister of Digitalization, we have made the land registry in order to have digital services, and we can talk about give to the citizens some digital information through the internet, and in a security way they can find out their data about the land registry. There are two procedures, the research and all the responsible for their properties have access to the land registry without problem, and online access to personal data. They can find out their plans and the diagrams, so they can go with this information to other offices in order to take advantage and to have a clear view of their land registry. Whoever wants can come and see the map of the whole Greece, because we are going to make it a digital map of Greece, and on there we are going to have information and that would be really useful for the commerce of our country. And I would like to finish and tell you about the information that you have a real-time information about data, about services, or maybe land opportunities to buy or sell some things. You can find it throughout the Greece. Two other things that I would like to underline is, as we were talking with the Deputy Minister last week about the land registry, we were talking about the mapping of places, and today we have mapping of 90% of Greece. That is really important for us, and so to give this information is really important. This is a great project that is funded by the Recovery Fund, and of course we are going to have the digitalization of land registry that would be exclusively digital, and will cost more than $2,000 billion euros. And with this maturity and our research, we are ready to have the founding of the Recovery Financial Control Fund. And in one word, the digitalization of the land registry is really important for our country. And in 2025, we believe that we are going to have a new view of Greece, and the digitalization in Greece would be really in a great progress in order to make closer all islands with the territory of Greece. We are talking about 40 projects that has to do with the digitalization, and we believe that generally they are going to give us the opportunity to talk about more things. I'm really sorry to interrupting you, but we want to have, we don't have plenty of time to talk about, and we have really important things to talk. I am closing with the digitalization with another project that we are having under mind and is going to start the next years. It's the opportunity to give the citizens the opportunity to have all services digitalized. Thank you so much. I know that how important are there, what already mentioned. We all know how many problems we have. Now we are going to talk about a tool that Mr. Skylakakis will represent. I would like to thank you again to be here. I know that it's difficult to be here. Many years ago, when we were talking about with financial policies, I know how difficult was that to talk with you. But the pandemic gave us a new opportunity, and I would like you to talk about the recovery fund that Europe gave us the opportunity. We have a problem with the connection. We can't hear Mr. Skylakakis, so we're going to give him the time. Mr. Vasilios Varsos, I would like you representing the Administrative Council of Young People. Can you hear us? Generally, we have a voice problem. Mr. Stylios, you can see that this problem comes maybe because I was interrupting you all the time. I don't know what to say. If we are ready to listen to Mr. Skylakakis. So, the technology problems and the pandemic problems that can arise, we can do this kind of conferences, but sometimes the connection is not appropriate for doing that. And till we have the connection ready, I would like to say that we want to talk about the problems and the financial and how important the recovery fund was. 32 billion euros in Greece, and till today we have many more. Let's see what we have with the connection. Mr. Lyargovas, maybe you can hear us. I hope you can all listen to us. I don't know if you can. We're working on that to have a connection with you. Mr. Lyargovas, do you? No, we have the same problem. We can't, unfortunately, we can't hear you. Mr. Lyargovas, he's professor in the University of Athens. I hope we have a connection. Be ready immediately in order to listen to them. That was the first part of discussion. And we are talking about We can't hear you. And we are talking about digitalization, but we can't hear some things. All these years, we have succeeded in doing a lot of things in informatics about Cisco, Microsoft, TeamViewers. We invested in that prosperous and services, and our ministry is ready to have is preparing an investment, a great investment in that point of project, because we want to help all people in order to be connected and cooperate with many other enterprises. I don't know if we can try and have the online connection ready. No, unfortunately we can't. We can't. You can't be heard. Mr. Stelios, you can talk about the white Bibles that we were talking. You can focus on that if you have the... Yes, I would like to say many more things, as the governor already known, as has to do for the digital solution and services in the region of Ionian Islands, and of course in the region, in many other regions. Practically, what would be the changes for the citizens? Practically, the changes that will come would have to do with the certifications that many citizens need. You don't have to go there to the public buildings in order to ask a certification, but through online services, they can demand for something and take it back electronically. The Ministry of... in our ministry, we are in a great speedy way. We are providing public services, and every week we have many demands that are accomplished through emails or many other electronic ways. Another important thing is that I would like to mention is that the transporting of buildings. Till today, we have 11 different visits in some public places, till today. But in order to sell or buy a building, you had to visit many public affairs. But through EFCA or maybe other funds, practical issues that many citizens faces as problem. And if you have made the research, you can see that there were many problems. They're facing many problems. But now we have a new application that be under construction, and in the end of the month, till the end of the month, it would be working and functional. We are going to do it through the internet and electronically. So the citizens will have electronic certification in many more things. And of course, you know, in Greece and in the region, I would like to, we don't have the service made till today. We are going to proceed. Mr. Keppel, thank you so much. Mr. Minister, I'm really sorry for the pressure, but I give you the opportunity to talk again, and we are going to proceed with this next panel. You can understand the difficulties that we have in this discussion today. Thank you so much, Mr. Keppel. Mr. Minister, we are talking about the great challenges that our people are facing today. We were talking about the geopolitical challenges that we made, and we are going to talk about the environmental, the climatic change that we are facing today. We are going to have Mr. Kartsalis, the professor of the University of Athens. We are going to see a video in order to go to the next part of this discussion.
Στο κλεισέ συμβαίνουν αυτά στις ζωντανές εκπομπές. Του Ερευνητικού Οργανισμού Διανέωσης για την κλιματική αλλαγή. Θα σας ζητήσω κωδικοποιημένα να μας παραθέσετε τα σημαντικότερα στοιχεία ως βάση συζήτησης.
Καταρχάς, ευχαριστώ πολύ για την πρόσκληση και στην Περιφερειάρχη, κυρία Κράτσα, και για όλους εσάς που είστε παρόντες. Θα σας το χαλάσω λιγάκι.
Πείτε μου.
Γιατί θα πρέπει. Είναι μια πολιτική συζήτηση, μια πολιτική εκδήλωση, ενώ για ένα μεγάλο πολιτικό γεγονός. Αλλά όταν πρέπει να παρουσιάσει στοιχεία που αφορούν το κλίμα και πώς εξελίσσεται στα Ιόνια νησιά, πρέπει να σας δείξω μια παρουσίαση.
Βεβαίως να μας δείξετε.
Άρα δεν θα συνοψίσω απλώς, θα δείξω μερικές χαρτογραφικές απεικονίσεις και μετά θα συνεχίσουμε με τα βασικά συμπεράσματα.
Δεν μας το χαλάτε καθόλου. Ίσα-ίσα μας δίνετε τροφή για σκέψη. Ωραία. Και το κάνετε και με εικόνα, με στοιχεία.
Άρα λοιπόν, όταν ο τεχνικός φορτώσει την παρουσίαση, θα είμαι σε θέση να την ξεκινήσω.
Να μας πούν οι συνάδελφοι αν μπορούμε να προχωρήσουμε με την παρουσίαση του κύριου Καρτάλη για τα πρόσφατα συμπεράσματα.
Of Mr. Kartalis. The climatic change that is proceeding all the time and have some vision and invisible points and parts. We have made research at the University of Athens, and we have some results today. You have to be sure for the results, and because these results will be used in many further research. Why that happened? That is the question that we have to put to everybody. We have to see back in the past and what happened in the Ionian Islands in the past. What happened the last 40 years? As you can see, the Celsius degree and the temperature that these islands had all these last 40 years. What we can see in this diagram is that the temperature is rising all the time. You can see that the temperature through the decades is rising all the time. Year to year, there is a systematic climatic change, and so we conclude that this change is it's a phenomenon of a climatic change that changes through the years. As you can see, throughout these 40 years, there is a temperature rising and lowering at the same time. What about the future? What is going to be in the future? The region of Ionian Island gives us the opportunity to examine what is going on in the future. As you can see here in the map, you can see the rise of the temperature and all the changes that happened. If we can see the map again. On the left part, you can see the temperature and how it rises throughout the Greece, and give us the opportunity to have some results in order to see what in the Ionian Islands will happen. As you see in the Ionian Islands, I can't see so clearly how this temperature will change in 2050. How, as the red you can see here, is the higher temperature. As you can see, this region has a systematic change in the temperature, and all the time you can see that it's becoming more and more red. That the same thing happens through the day and the night. And we have a high rise of temperature till the day and the night. All these results has to do with the hotter days. They have a rise of temperature. That means 30, 40 degrees, or maybe 40 or even 50 Celsius degree that we can proceed in the near future. That is really important, and how you can see when we go from the red part to the orange, the situation becomes worse. These results and these places, you can see that we have a great rise of temperature in the higher part of Greece. Another map here. Sometimes we can talk about the rise of the temperature that all the time changes. On the right side of the map, we can see how the rain comes. When we go to the red part, you can see that the rain is lower, and the blue part means that we have the frequency of rain as we used to have the last years. And the sense of the temperature and the rain comes thanks for the presentation again. I'm really sorry for this disconnection. We know there is a problem with the climatic changes. The only positive thing, this is a rentage of changes in the temperature, in the development through the years. And we are proceeding that we are going to have a great rise, about 3 millimeters per year. That means we have a great change throughout the years, all this year.
Αυτό που παρατηρείται καταγεγραμμένο, 3 μιλιμέτρα το έτος, η αύξηση στάθμης της θάλασσας για τη δική μας γεωγραφική ζώνη.
You can see that in the Aegean, till today, we had many changes, and in the near future, we're going to have again. This rate is going to go on till 2050, and that means we are going to have great changes and challenges till the 2050. And we are talking about the rise of the level of the sea, and that will create many other problems, except from the problems that we have with the temperature. as you can see in the map, the problem is really high, especially in the areas that are in the orange, in the and the red part. There is a problem for the planet. I don't want to say some details about the problems, but I would like to focus on some things. And the pressures that we face here. There is a great rise of temperature, and of course, during the summertime. At the same time, we are going to talk about the rise of tropic nights throughout the Greece here. And of course, we are talking about minimizing rates of days. That means that we're going to have more than 37 Celsius degrees more than we are used to till today. Of course, we have a decrease in raining, and we are going to talk about flooding and maybe other problems that in the agricultural domain that we can face through this climate change. Of course, we are talking about a development in these days and the rise of the temperature in the days. And of course, we're talking about the dangers that we have with the fire on the forest. The systematic rate in the sea level, rating the sea level. And during the tourist period of time, a region with touristic demand has to face all these problems and understand these problems in order to find some solution. The energy, the agriculture, the environment, and the natural environment are really a problem for that. Of course, we have to think about the tourist period of time. If we have a problem with the tourist period of time, this is a chain that creates many other problems. Because we're talking about climate change, but has to do with the geographical plan and programming the needs of infrastructures to be adequated in that position. What are the invisible options and views of this climate change? The first one is the tax of CO2 in the air transport. And of course, the raise of the cost of all the commerce and the CO resources that would be cost of the energy, and the cost would be sacrificed to the people and the visitors in the country. At the same time, we're going to see some raises in the cost of the electricity and the cost of transporting the products. As for example, we had €5 per person in order to transport the product. Now, that €5 would be €100, and systematically this could be raised. And this is the chain of commerce that will be changed all the time. And
δεν θα μπορεί πια. Σωστά. Δασμός στην εισαγωγή προϊόντων που προέρχονται από χώρες που βασίζονται.
Of course, there are other taxes that has to do with the import products that will be raised from the countries that are not out of the European Union, of course. These taxes will be much more expensive, and so we have to think about these problems. So the products that will be imported from countries out of Europe will be more expensive than we are used to. And that was because by the climate change. And that we have to focus on is the zero coal that we're going to talk about, our financial economists think. As you can see, the gas, or maybe we have to find some renewable sources of energy in order not to use the coal mines, and at the same time, the gases will be adequated and adapted in all our needs in many levels. And what we can say is that we rethink about it. We can't do anything else than think about and find some strong solutions in order to eliminate the usage and find some alternative sources of energy. Now, in Greece, we have some goals, and we have adapted our thoughts to these climate changes. And we are respecting and limiting the gases emission, and we are trying. Nowadays, we have think about it with responsibilities, and we have eliminating the emissions. But at the same time, we have some consequences to face in order to we are obliged to respect the global environmental issues and the problems that we are causing. You have to be responsible and ask for the others to be responsible without being responsible at the same time. And you are talking about the Corfu and the Ergostoli when you're talking about the neutral countries, environmental neutral countries. We are thinking about taking some measures to that cities at the same time that are really responsible for some climate neutrality that they have. All other cities throughout Greece and the Lefkada, maybe we can talk about Lefkada. We have to think about this city at the same time. We have a scientific base, and we have to conclude with the last presentation. The climate crisis is really in progress. There are not consequences due to the pandemic at the same time, but it is a pandemic more slow that we have to face and take it under consideration seriously in order to find some solution. I hope that we have a connection again. I don't know who is with us before we go on with the discussion. Mr. Kefalogiannis is with us, and Mr. Rafael-Tsiamis is with us. Welcome you from Corfu, and I hope that you can hear us. Hello, Mr. Kefalogiannis.
Τι χαρά να ακούμε τη φωνή σας. Θα φτιάξουμε τη σύνδεση, να ακούγεται η στάθμη όπως πρέπει, αλλά νομίζω το βρήκαμε. Καλωσορίζω και εσάς.
I would also like...
Θα το βρούμε.
I would also like to welcome Mr. Tsiamis. We're talking about the climatic change. Mr. Kartalis gave us some results, important results on how we are and where we are. But as member of the Administrative Council to the European Parliament, you are getting involved with the environmental and climate change that we are facing, and give us another level on where we are.
Και όπως την χαρακτηρίζουν όλα τα κοινοβούλια πλέον την κλιματική κρίση,
είναι πολιτικές Avianopoulos, a member, is insisting on that we are taking under consideration the scientific view and point of view that all scientists give us as result. The Committee of Environment was founded in order to see the report, and every 2 years we do a research and they give us some reports so as to have another procedure to the project that we are going to think as members of Europe. All scientists are with us in order to give us the results, and I am 100% sure in order to think and take under consideration these results. So, as you know, all scientists and the last project that was presented in the committee, in the European Committee, give us the opportunity to discuss about the problems that was arised, and they are more than 60% that we prospected. If we want to change this difficult situation, these climate changes, we have to make this problem ours, to make the problem to our cities and villages. We have succeeded in to have a cooperation with them in order to find some solution at a level of 50%. The European Union and every member are ready to sign this commitment in order to protect our cities and our countries and give our fights in order to change the climate problems. This year in Greece, we are going to have a 26th event in order to speak about the environmental issues, and we are going to take some decision that the Europe should take in order to find out what we're going to gain from these thoughts that we have made and decisions we have taken. We know that we didn't, here in Greece, we don't know about the emissions that we have, or we didn't have the image and the research on how we are going to take and face the problem for the emission. We don't have to increase the 1.5 rates of degrees of the temperature in Greece. We don't have to permit this happen, because if this happens in the next years, we maybe have a rise of 6 or 7 Celsius degrees more than we already have, and that would be really it would be a real problem for us. These thoughts is our everyday life. What we're going to do here, we can't do a thing. There are many things that we have to solve. As member of the European Union, it's a vital role in order to find solution to that. The role that we might have against the citizens and all the people to this climate change, we have to say that it is a great opportunity our government has changed. And I'm not talking about the Committee of Environment, but that the government as well gave the order finish the coal mining in 2028. I'm going to talk about Germany and have a contribution with them, and they are prospecting that the emissions would be reduced in 2038. But here in Greece, we're prospecting that 2028 we won't have a lot of emissions. It's really important for us, and I think that in 2025, we won't have a coal production. How we are going to do that? We are going to do it in a transportation that we are going to make in some years. Mr. Kefalogiannis is going to talk about that. And we think that Greece will have a new era that would be without cholera and give us the security to the citizens that Greek people has as a member of European Union respects the environment and respects the rules of the environment. One question that I have in a political level, Mr. Avyerinopoulou, I would like to say the emphasis that Mr. Katalis said. I want you to tell you, practically, we are in a region that we are a touristic region, we are aligned, and we are really sensibilized by all the problems and the environmental problems will arise in our region. In Greece, we are working on many parts of transportation, and that's why it's the second part that I would like to mention. Greece has a lot of islands, and we have many difficulties, especially in Ionian islands, that we have many natural results. But here in the biodiversity that in the Ionian islands have, it's not common globally. You can see that the region of Ionian Islands is really important, and this biodiversity that can't be easily found is really important to be protected. So I think that the region of Ionian Islands had made a lot of efforts on that, and that's why there are many programs that protect the coast, but it's not enough. We're not talking about problems, but we're not talking about difficulties, but we are talking about programs who have to do with the marine resources and the coasts, how we can protect them. There are many programs on that, and we are fighting on that orientation. We have, as member of European Union, and of course the region of Ionian Island has protected are members of programs to protect the marine resources, and we believe that it's really important and can cooperate in order to protect the civil part of the environment. You can see that we are living in a coastal region, and that's why we have to take care of it all the time. Throughout the history, it is really important to talk about these coastal regions and how to be protected. We don't have the investments or the funds from European programs that can help us. We can't find them, and with many delays and after many pressures, we succeed on being a part and these programs. And Greek people gain 51 billion of euros in order to defend to this climate change and all the problems that arise from the environmental issue. So the private sector have to take a real action in order to protect the environment and to become the investor who is going to help definitely to these coastal regions in order to talk about renewable sources of energy and have an environmental development and talk about new investment from private sectors to help us with the cooperation with European funds. Thank you, Ms. Adonopoulou, for the... and I'm going to talk to Mr. Kefalogiannis for you and to talk us about the financial control and the funds that we have from Europe. And of course, the work that you are doing in the European level or to this transportation. I would like you to talk about this great effort, focusing on the region of Ionian Islands. First of all, I would like to thank you for this invitation. As Mr. Avyerinopoulou mentioned, it is really right on what she has really right on what she said. It is really difficult to find the funds in order to protect the environment. As a member and assistant report of the European Parliament, I can share that the Fund of Fair Transition has taken under consideration the environmental issues that arise all the time through the European countries. As well as the Investing Europe program, we have a program with the funding of 100 million euros that will have the vital role in the region that you are mentioning. And our goal is to help you to that orientation. Our main goal is to avoid all the environmental issues that arises, and we're trying to proceed in a European cooperation and at the same time to fight all Europe to help us and to meet the demands that every country has. At the same time, we can speak about the innovative things that we have thought as whatever has to do with the energy and the efforts that every country has to work on them and find the most adequate solution. Even if we have faced some common other difficulties, we have to press in European level in order to find important solutions. With my colleagues and to all the participants, we are preparing a new project the last decade, we had working on finding solution in finding and the funds that every European country can offer to that orientation. And of course, we have given importance to all the Mediterranean countries and the people that are there. So we are hoping that we have a great cooperation with the United States in order to have some more efforts and find out more immediate solution to the problems. And of course, in Britain, that are members, that are not members anymore, there are other problems that we have to think. But Greece is a pioneer to some things, and we have to set it as a pioneer and find solution for the environment. And we want Greece to be participate in find solution and all the islands to give them the opportunity and face and solve some really important problems. That would be exclusively, some funds would be exclusively for the islands. I would like to thank you for giving us the frame. The quality of the sound is not good. It is really difficult and we can't hear you so clearly. but they are enough for what we are here. Thank you so much for being with us. But we are going to listen Mr. Rafael Tsamis, that is member of the Administrative Council in the European Parliament of Young People. It's a young voice. And of course, we can understand young people, and as younger you are, you can face more challenges. Mr. Tsamis, we can hear you. Good afternoon. I don't know if we can't hear you. We can't see you, but we can hear you. Thanks for being here today and for the invitation. I would like also to thank the Governor of Region of Ionian Islands, Ms. Grazia, for the invitation. It is a great honor to be here today to the event and talk about the climate change that has a great importance for us. The truth is that we are really concerned about the climate change, and everybody is concerned about that. It is. We have nowadays, as young people, we have to face a lot of problems that this climate change gave us. And we have to find solution from each member of the Europe to find and focus on the solution to the problem. We have at the same time, we have an open dialogue on this issue. It is not, and the position that we have in the Europe, it's not simple and it's not easy to discuss on that and understand the problem. We have in a connecting position, and we have to take under consideration the problem and the changes that happen throughout the Europe, not only to our country. Not being a Greek means you have many more problems than another country. With a great, we have contacted a lot of organizations throughout the world that were ready, and we discussed with them on how they could support us. And of course, the European Commission support our results, and we discussed with them in order to go on working on that subject and how we can save the planet and change and stop this climate change. As our part, we can see that in the past, before the pandemic crisis, we were talking about a situation, difficult situation, and we were looking for some solution. And we want to cooperate with everybody in order to give help and our hand and our position in that to find a solution. There are many other problems that we have to think, as for example, the financial system that we have to follow on that purposes. And any other who gets involved to the financial control have to cooperate with us, even if they are challenges to the climate change, that we are going to have consequences in our everyday life, or maybe in our health life. So that's why we have to rethink about it, and we have to incorporate and find transformative ways in order to face the problem and face our everyday life to make it even better. The environment is really important for our life and our future. I would like to thank you for your position that would be really hopeful because you are really young and give you the force and the opportunity that you have and the energy that a young person has in order to protect the environment. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, Mr. Kefalogiannis. I apologize for the bad quality of the connection. Mr. Kartanis, for your results. I would like really to thank you, Mr. Lompounou as well. And we can see if we can go to a short video for the last part of our event. We are going to talk about the European funds. When we are ready, please inform me. Going on with the event from the Mediterranean programs, going to the ESPA and the regional cohesion in the Ionian Islands. You can see Mr. Skalkos General Assembly of Public Investment, Mr. Kotis, the President of Regional Council of Samper of the Ionian Islands, of course, Mr. Governor of Ionian Islands, Ms. Kratzers, and in some sort of time would be the we have the connection with Mr. Lagovas and with Mr. Vastos. We apologize because technology doesn't make the favor. We are out of program, but if you have till you are waiting, Mr. Yargovas, 2 minutes, tell us about your position. Thank you so much for the government of Ionian Islands for this invitation and the honor that gave me. As listening to the previous position, I would like to say that for 2 minutes, I would like to say that if we think about the last decade being members of the European Union, we have four great challenges that Europe had to face. The COVID, the refugee problem, the financial problem, and all other crises smaller crises that we face, and we have found out and learned one thing. When we react slowly, but definitely in each crisis, we sometimes gain some things. So the result is the future of Europe would be an issue, and how we can control many other crises, and how we can find the rightness in order to force and find solution for every problem that arises. I can speak about an example that I can give you is how we have the same obligatory of that, and there's a great issue on how to find really quick solution, and the European every country faces a lot of problems, but we have to find solution for each one separately. At the domain for the health, for example, that we are facing the problem, we have a great high-level solution and find a commission that had to face this problem. And there was an innovation that we've found using the technology and many other things in order to have a European digital prospectus that in order to have the 5G connection that help us, the technology, to overcome some problems that we have due to the pandemic arises. We can give many more things, we can do many more things, but the one thing is that we have to be united. Thanks for your time. As the domain of financial issues, the Europe have the most vital role. It's not a role that is just cosmetic. It is really important and vital in order to take the responsibilities and the decision and think about all the appropriate things and rules that every member has to follow in order to become more flexible, but at the same time more resulting in finding the solution to every problem and become better from the previous financial problems. And I would like also to mention the domain and the recovery plan that we have to think about. All the European members were talking about. And what we need here, we have a stable help. That's all the things that I would like to say. Thank you so much, Mr. Liagovas, for being here. Mr. Vassos is waiting, and I'm really sorry for waiting for me all the time, because we have Mr. Gizikostas with us. We can see you. Mr. Gizikostas, you're the governor and president. Mr. Varsos, before going to you, Mr. Gizikostas, I would like to say that, to listen to Mr. Varsos. I hope you can hear me. I would like to thank you for this invitation to talk here. I represent a whole generation. We can hear great things here today that has to do with the development, and I believe that what we can do again the discussion with more open minds, without being persuaded by ages. Young people are ready to listen, and through the European Parliament, we had succeeded on that field and think about the dialogue, and we have given great importance on that. My experience showed that by giving the opportunity to young people to talk and to express their opinion in really important issues that arise all the time, they can give solutions and ideas that nobody else could think, because they are really innovative and in front of every part, because they have the opportunity to examine carefully the reinforcement of their voice, and they can understand how their voice is important to other people. Whatever has to do with the development, to the society wholly, as an idea, we are under a balance to cohesion and acceptance, that young people can accept many more things. In many fields. As we are giving an emphasis on the region of Ionian Islands, we know that the islands have to do a great involvement with the tourism, the commerce. There is a bridge with many countries, between many countries, and give the Greece the opportunity to many fields. So the involvement of young people go and take efforts to the fields that are really in danger in order to solve, in order to find solution and pass on the other part of the project. Personally, I believe with the route and the future that the Europe has to the development, we are in a great path, and we can't wait to see the results and the benefits that will arise in many great issues and that nowadays we can face them as dangers. I would like to thank you, Mr. Varsos, the participation of young people and generally the environment, the appropriate environment that the young generation can represent is the purpose of why we are organizing this kind of events, and we are talking about funding and money, and we would like to thank you so much and go to the last part of the discussion. I would like to start with Mr. Sculptures and Mr. Aspiotis that is with us today to give us a good view on the point that we are discussing and how the funding are representing and come to our region. Dear participant, as a member, supervisor of services and the Management Operational Program 2001 and 2020, I would like to welcome you here in Corfu with the main subject, 40 years members of United Europe. I would like to mention the finishing Mediterranean programs that focusing on the Ionian Islands. And as you understand, the Ionian Island has a great geographical position that are really important for Greece because they are connecting the Europe and Greek, and of course, the funding financial programs are really important. Maybe I can use some terms that are really common to us as we are involving to the financial, but not to other people. Many years ago, Greece has become to be funding for many European programs, and there were the first money that given to Greece in order to have some funding programs that has to do with Greece and the North France. This procedure was the basis of the approachment of the next project that has to do with the financial support of commercial from 1986 to 1994, the second from 1994 to 1998, until today we have the ESPA funding, and as has to do with the management of 2020 and 2013, and the now period of time, we're talking about the development. When we are talking about the financial cohesion, as has to do with the European Act of 1996, was to establish a bridge between the Greek and the other countries of Europe that really need it. They are talking about a financial and geographical cohesion between the countries, and all the countries that faces the industrial development are facing some geographical problems. During this operational program 2014-2020, this political cohesion has a great purpose in order to have a strategy plan from 2020. This development strategy has to do with united and developing development. The next period of time, 2021-2027, all the funding of European programs had 5 pillars and 5 goals. This is a smarter Europe through digitalization, a more green Europe, a more connected Europe with means of connection, more society and sociable Europe, and finally a Europe closer to citizens. I would like also to mention these programs that are funding in the region of the Ionian Islands, starting from the middle, the third funding supporting operational program that wasn't in a regional program but a national. 2006 was this program in the frames of third operational program. In the regional islands, Ionian Islands, was funding from $3 billion, gives great benefits in order to protect the environment and the cohesion of all the islands. In the next operational program, the region of Ionian Islands was part of the territorial and Western Greece, Peloponnese and the Ionian Islands. That was a program who took part in there. It was about 304 million euros, and the goal was that the Ionian Islands would have a tourist development. As for this period of development program, the Ionian Islands, we have a founding program 2014-2020 that has to do with almost 201 million euros and has the main goal in order to attract more people in region through the cultural and the environmental background that these islands has in order to have them as a tourist attraction. For the next program that we have now, from 2021 up to 2027, we proceed of having a budget at about 270 billion euros, and through the negotiation with the financial and other members of Europe, we have to reform this program, and after taking under consideration the challenges that we are facing in a regional, international and European level, the new strategy would be to reinforce the attraction of tourists and the emphasis in the flexibility and multicultural pressures that it's arising all the time. With my position, I would like also to say that I don't mention the problems that we had all this period of times and the funding that we had all the previous years in the Ionian Islands. There were, of course, great issues, like, for example, missing programming, management problems, and, of course, my services, the special services faces a lot of problems, but I would like to set them apart to this event. A more personal position is that as a supervisor of this operational program, I can say that personally, I believe that the political cohesion that we have the Ionian Island here, as for example, being here today, during the previous program period of time and the nowadays period of time, is to reform and to reinforce the subject and the problems that we have, is the buildings that we have for the first and second level of education, the three great hospitals that we have in Corfu, Lefkada and Zante, and of course the buildings of the Ionian University, another, the Museum of History here in Corfu, and reform and other buildings that has to do with the infrastructure in the cities. And the most important that are funded through these programs, starting from the program Help to House, that is really funding, is currently funding till today from the European funds, and of course other programs that will go on the next years. Thank you so much. We succeeded, Mr. Aspiotis. Thank you so much.
Τι θα λέγατε να περάσουμε στον κύριο Τζιτζικώστα να μας δώσει...
We're going to set the floor to Mr. Tsitsikostas in order to give us his opinion, being a governor of the Central Macedonia, but he's a president of the region's European Union, and we want your position. I'm really sad not being there with you today to see this wonderful island of Greece. It is a great honor for me to be here, even from online, to speak about such an important issue that has to do with the great European family. Undoubtedly, this family and this membership is really important and give us a great effort to the Ionian Island, because they give us the opportunity to, it is important to have a civil and cultural progress. The truth is that while incorporating in Europe throughout the years, it is really important, and even if somebody have second thoughts, because we are provoking the most important, we can sign it as the most important part of Greek history. On the one hand, we are here to talk about a great issue that has to do with the past, and today we're going to talk for the future. And the future of the Ionian Islands, and you know, today in Europe, even if we say we can see some things, we can recognize that some memberships in Union, we not agree with them, but we can see the effort and how important is for the Ionian Islands to take some decisions on them. There was a financial world crisis that I would like to congratulate you for the event today, and of course to congratulate you for the idea that we are going to speak for the future. And in this frame, I would like to give you some thoughts. As a member, as a president of regions of European Union, I'm really glad to be member of that, and it's really honor for me to represent my country and be representative of a country and be a vice president of the program to protect the European demands. Our effort is to represent the regions of Greece. As president of this committee, the model that it is commonly accepted in Europe changes the orientation of Europe and the regions and the role that all regions have gained throughout the years. The 50% of national expenses goes to the regional support. That means that regions that I'm representing in the European Commission are really important to be more closely to the citizens, because there, and not be centrally, but focusing on them, we can act more quickly. And it is proven the last decade that if we focus and come close to the citizens, we can find solutions through them. As for example, the recovery fund that becomes true and give us a great opportunity as Greek people, because it helps us vitally to face real problems and recover from problems that arise through the years without being foreseen. And in some months, you are going to see the result and how beneficial it would be. This recovery fund, it was a project that comes and meets the needs of the citizens, European citizens. And they will reform Greece for a vision to 2030. How would that be true? It is already proven through ESPA that the last countries that face problem the last years, the ESPA would help them. When the ESPA management was from the national level goes to the regional level, we can see a rising on funding and investment and development at the same time. So the great range of projects that were under presentation, the ESPA project would be a prototype for me in order to everybody would follow, and of course the recovery fund follow at the same time, if we want to have a recovery fund to prove that was really beneficial and was give a great advantage to countries that suffer. Another thing that we have to see is another view, is that Greece today faces many other problems. Of course, the region of Iόνια and Island have to discuss, and other regions discuss together in order to find common solution. As for example, the tourist attraction, the society, we have to control it and programize correctly in order to have the opportunity and find the recipe for the right solution. For the development of the whole country. We don't want just the development. We have a great development that will be sustainable for many more years. What we have to focus is the effort that we are doing and the regions are doing all the time. Starting from the low to the higher level of the society, we are trying to do that, and the regions are trying to do. They are taking the tools that we have in our commission, and we want to use them adequately. And now it's the time that we have to take the action in a regional level in order to help the future of the Greece. Don't forget that regions is that at the end of the day, they transport all the European funds in a really useful tool for every citizen. I'm really sure that the result of this discussion, we're going to have a result that will be beneficial for everybody to think about them. And the outcomes would give us the opportunity to discuss for one more time how the regions would become competitive to other countries. Thank you so much. Mr. Tzitzikostas, thank you so much for being here today. And I give you the... we are going to this General Assembly. Mr. Tzitzikostas said that we would have a cooperation for all the funding that we have from the European. Where are we? What is the plan, except from the Recovery Fund? Thank you so much. Obviously, I would mention that after that, that Mr. Tzitzikostas mentioned. I would understand what he said, but as he already said, as we did it in ESPA, we're going to do it now in the new Recovery Fund. As Mr. Kratsa knows better than me, we can do some more things in a better way. I would like also to thank her for the invitation today. It is really, I'm really happy for being participating in this type of discussion, because all the time and every day we are losing our mind because from the everyday life and the things that are demanding in our everyday life, and we miss the vision of the reality and the real Europe. Sometimes we are trying to find solution, or other time we want to find the results, and we can't see the vision and the development that we need, the recovery that we want to succeed in, either in internal or in external dangers that we have to face and challenges that we have to overcome. We're talking about the incorporation of Greece in European unit. And of course, we're talking about the 35 years that the funds, the European funds are creating and they are planning all the time is how to help not only Greek, but at the same time, Italy and Portugal, help them financially in order to be equal members of the European Union. So we are talking about a united commerce, and we want to participate in Europe as much as we can. As for the part of the general programs or for the part of regional programs, they are really important as well to be competitive as for the means of transport, or maybe some infrastructures that Greece has to change and transform. Another important thing is that we have learned how to work in a systematic way and in a European way. And I'm not talking about, we don't wait just the funding ESPA programs or other funding products to work on them. The management and the administration is ready to think about the political question in order to measure the income and the percentages that we have can help us in order to think about the expenses and the financial support that we need, or maybe we can exceed in that. But think if we didn't have this help, that's what I would like to mention is obviously we're not just telling about the Ionian Islands, but generally for Greek. The Ministry of Development is talking about limiting funding expenses, and we are talking about budget that is not for us. We are taking from other countries' budget. Of course, many more things would be really different, because the Brussels bureaucracy has created a lot of problems in funding, and sometimes we have to find solutions in order to overcome this kind of bureaucracy problems. But generally, all these financial funds are really important for us, and in a regional level, we are in a middle rate of category of countries that are helped by this kind of recovery funds. But at the same time, we don't have just to be supported by them. We have to set new goals, and taking under consideration the financial crisis that we have the last decade, we have to be in the balance and to adequate to some other countries. What is translating to our country? That means in a long-term goal of 15 years. You can understand how important is this, and we can't have the stable financial control in our country. But we believe that the recovery fund won't help us all the time, but we were going to find solutions in order to reassure the development and reassure that the funds won't be only financial support, but at the same time give us other opportunities and procedures in order to attract new investments in our country. As for example, the ESPA plan, it is really important regionally and nationally, and all projects that has to do with that and are co-founded give us great opportunities as country, but we have to be more focused on that part of programs. As Mr. Lekovas said, there are too many money. There are many programs, but we have to have a great and general plan focused. Is it possible? Of course, it is possible. And it is really, all these programs and the recovery fund is a general funding program with a lot of money. But what we have to do is to cooperate in order to have them and separate them in the needs that the country has. So that's why we have many other programs that are separating all this money, and the Marshall Plan we have the money, but we have to separate them in many more smaller programs. That is from the one part that we have. That is the problem. In order to fund this programs that we don't know how much and how, as Mr. Katralis said. And on the other part is how we can to change the problems and the financial support that we can offer. Based on the capacity that every region has, we have to take advantage of the recovery fund in many more money than 10 million euros. But there is a strategy, there is a specific plan to follow and to set a project that has a great orientation. Of course, we have to take some decisions that are really dreadful, and you know that these proposals have to be made, but at the same time are really dangerous because we are not ready to understand them. And of course, there are other programs that need our attendance and attention at the same time, and a great percentage of these programs. Mr. Spiotis, we have from 200 million euro to 270 euros that we are going to have. And you think that is a great importance, and on that advantage of these 70 million euros, that we have to think about and how to use them adequately in order to help the regions and renew the plans and projects through these programs in order to reinforce the people that need. And I'm talking about the local authorities that suffer from many things. And of course, the programs that has to do with the transportation, with the green transportation, and technical support that we might need in order to have and develop the income in Europe, in country. Oh, I would like to finish here. You are so specific, and we are talking about the religious plan and level, and that's why we would like. I need 10 more seconds. Based on our programming, we're waiting the first plan of ESPA in the region of Ionian Islands in order to plan that are approved in order to have the first invitation till the end of the year. How this would become true? The main part is there is a procedure that we have to follow in order to have the... I know that the region of Ionian Island is working on that, but I want you to have spent the last cent on that. I would like to close with Mr. Kotis to take the floor in order to talk about the citizens and people. As I understand, money are there from Europe and still exist, but the citizens, how the citizens face this money and what you can see the next day. I'm really glad to be here without... I think that our panel has a great importance without limiting the importance of the previous panels, and I would like to explain why and what I mean on that. The last years, we have seen great and important differences because I'm coming from the sector of technology. I'm talking about the public fundings, and we can see two really important actions. The first one is the Minister of Digitalization is after the Prime Minister. If we want to talk about the digitalization of changing, but if we didn't put the Minister of Digitalization over the other ministers, I don't know if this is true, but I can really accept that the Ministry of Digitalization had made a great effort. And secondly, Mr. Chakiris and the Ministry had a great, make a lot of changes, has eliminating some procedures, have given speeding to some procedures, not only due to COVID demands, but because, and I have discussed with them, they have given the opportunity to solve problems that came from the past. We have 2 Euro-regional members of Greece. This is really important that I can say that they are really high, Mr. Gisikostas and Ms. Kratsa as well. And as we are cooperating a lot of times and we have a dynamic cooperation in many levels, I know and she knows that she has given us another step to some things and give a great progress on them. Mr. Aspiotis, at the same time, has a lot of work to do because this money can't be taken and can be funded, be valuable if we following the previous government routes. And as the previous panel said, what we have to focus on is the small, medium and small businesses, and of course the citizens, each one, because that is really important. We mentioned that, we don't mention that, but in the reality, it is the great chance to take it, to tell the medium businesses is the small businesses in Europe. Our medium businesses are the small businesses in Europe, and that's what is really important for the taking advantage and differentiation of a model of economy. It is really important to build the next day and to take a recovery, not in the same part, making and renewing the old one, but completely changing. It is your opinion. We are a region that, due to the tourism, we are really low in innovation and in competitiveness. And that's why it's really important as a pillar project of some infrastructures. We are representing the island of Europe. As nation, we have the islands in Europe. And as a president of Chamber of the islands, I can say that Mrs. Kratza was the first one who many years ago succeeded in many more things. I would like to say on whatever I listened today that are really important and really interesting, because I like listening to many other things. I would like to describe what Mr. Naspiotis described as for the history of the programs in more empiric way. The last 33 years, I'm involving in European programs. I am the higher position. I have the higher position in the nation that has to do with the engineering. Many years ago, the engineers in Greek stand in the queue in order to take only one number. During the vaccinating program and period of time, I was there. Had an SMS from the country. I was informed. We know that Mr. Stelios is laughing. And when somebody is vaccinating, there is a tablet and have the digital certification of vaccinating. I can't believe it. I can't believe that 30 years earlier, we didn't have the opportunity as informating technological engineers to have this opportunity. I had made digitalize some local authorities with the LOR project, and this project were only educational. We didn't have, through the crisis, had the opportunity to put data entry on them. I had that opportunity, and the digitalization was ready many years ago. I was disappointed about the situation, but the last year, not as a businessman, but as a citizen, I can really proud for the changes that had made the last year. And now I'm going to talk about the future and the next day. It is what I would like to mention. We have 40 years now. We are celebrating the 40 years of being members of Europe. The last 10 years were really difficult for us because, as you understand, it is obvious that we are not European Union all this year. Because after the financial crisis, it was problematic about being or not in the European Union. The recovery fund and this period of time, it is the most important issue in Europe because in the methodology of financial support throughout the Europe is a period of time that the recovery fund and it is a progress that is going on. In my point of view, we are going to have a Europe that it is ready to be exceptionalized, and for the region of Ionian Islands and the national part, we have to take under consideration the human resources, and we have to help them in order to help the private sector and be helped by the private sector. And the plan of the investment and the operational program has to focus on that. So we have to set the goal on the most important product of Greek that has to do with the humans. The humans are the most important for our country. It's the vehicle for our country. Thank you so much for your position. Mr. Tzitsikostas is knocking positively and waving positively on what he's saying. Ms. Kratsa, I think that this panel, I believe that this panel, except from the environmental panel that was really important and vital, but of course it is more orientated panel on what we're talking today. So I would like to focus on the region of the Ionian Islands. Thank you so much that you give me the floor in order to close this event and discussion. We have a great discussion. I would like to thank all the attendants here and for whatever was listened to today, and to what every speaker proved that how important this panel is, and the region of Ionian Islands has a vital role in the innovative and sustainable development and environmental changes, and whatever of that is mentioned today, starting from the region. And the 70% of the changement is born in the regions. So the region today is really important in order to make through all the goals that the Europe and the European Union has set. At the same time, as for the humans that you mentioned, I know that Mr. Tzitsikostas make a great procedures in order to persuade other European committees and countries to respect them, obviously. But I would like to say that we are here in order to say how important the region of Ionian Islands is. I would like to note that our policy, it's not different. We have an approach in the same a dynamic repetitiveness and effortness that we have. And of course, the funding issues are really important for us, and we have to focus on the common commerce. Why do you have this need to focus on that? I'm gonna answer you. Because I think that the regional policy is the heart of the development. There is no unique commerce if we don't have a cohesion in regional. We can't transport the products if the Ionian Islands don't play the vital role in this commerce. We can't proceed and export and take advantage and be benefit if the Ionian Islands don't be the part of this transportation. That's why our role is really important and vital. Why I am telling that? Because during my experience as a member of this region, I come to the outcome that countries that have a formating regional policy, they are following a generous regional policy from Europe, because the funds are not coming through. And of course, what are the practices that we have to do in order to take advantage of these funds? So why, if these funds are not adequate to that regions, why should we give them to them? And then we are going to give them to other countries that need it more. So we forgot about the cultural policy, and we're going to talk about other kind of funds. So that is why we believe that the regional funds would be really vital in order to maintain as regions and have vital role in all national and European level. That is important for Europe. The Greek member of the European Commission, we did great action in order to maintain and keep funding this. I didn't understand if I couldn't be governor of Iόνια, I couldn't understand the effort that many other people do. And we need a cooperation with them. We have services and adequate services, and at the same time to have local authorities and have cooperation with them, because there are programs that has to do with the region but addresses to local authorities, as some programs that has to do with universities or maybe some private sectors and enterprises. So we have a more dynamic governance in the national level, and in order to have cooperation. So, as the General Assembly said, is that in our country we have to find out how to have a different approach, an additional approach, in order to have more funds and take advantage of them at the maximum level. And I would like to say that the citizens will have to be benefit of that and take advantage of that. And if we are out of this need, and many people don't know how to take advantage of them, we have to think about it, to cooperate and to see how the funds will take advantage by local authorities. And I'm telling that because we can be understood by the European Commission, and of course can be understood by all Greek people and sectors. We can't see how doesn't matter how Mr. Astropoulos is working, how I am working, but has to do how we can attract many more people and human people in order to work harder, stay here, and there is a whole system that we have to cooperate on. A second part of point of view is how this regional policy is designed, from lower to higher or from higher to lower. And now I have many more questions. There are countries that have a tradition who says that they believe that the lower to higher is the best way of a policy that they have to follow. There are many regions and governors that believe, and they don't have the experience. They are coming to Brussels and they negotiate for some programs. We can't do that. Mr. Tzitsikostas is doing that in a national level, but as governors, we can't do that. So, the European Union permits to members to have and give the regions how will have and take part to the decision or to knowing about the problems. I know that the Prime Minister wants and is trying to reinforce the regions all around the Greek. And there is a message that we need to play a more vital role in the country. And we really want, during the new ESPA program, I can understand that the program of COVID take us back, but the society doesn't know about it. We didn't have the opportunity to interact with them. So we need the procedures in order to have more space, and the regions have more space in order to, because we believe that we are just mobiles of the regional policies, and we don't take advantage of the regional programs that we have. We just be in action. I want for the regional development to succeed in some things, some programs. But I'm not, they don't meet our needs as region. As Mr. Skalchos, we are going to discuss a great discussion. His corporation. Okay, she talks about me with the great words. There is a whole system. You are not alone, I know that, and you can do many things because there's a whole system that we have. You have to think about and discuss with them in order to take some opportunities. And we know that we have to do to be more resulting. And in the European Union, and told the committees and told other countries that giving the money to the recovery fund, they are questioning why should they give money in order to take advantage of them. Obviously, they are asking themselves why to give some more money if Greek don't know what to do them. So this is the problematic that we have to think about it one more time. Even if I understand and it is obvious that there are problems of regional policies and you have to follow that. But Greece is a European country and we can be an example to as many other countries throughout Europe is we have to drink about, we have to be ambitious, and we have to see the future. We have some problematics, we have some. I'm really enthusiastic and I believe that things would be really better in our country and for our region. Except from the challenges that we have to face, we are hoping to a development and another challenge that we're going to face. We believe that we have the efforts to overcome them, and we have an horizon open in order to set new goals. And we didn't have we didn't develop an innovation because we believe that we didn't need that. And I was wondering, there is no innovating procedure in tourism? Of course it is, but we didn't have the need of proceeding on that way. We didn't have the need of thinking about innovation. We have to digitalize a lot of things. It is in the center of our mind in order to think about the tourism and how we can make it better, and how to become more innovative. And at the same time, we want to develop other fields and sources of income that our region has, of course. As for example, except from the digitalization. We are lucky to be here and have the Ionian University that has great opportunities in order to give us new horizons and new prospects of way of life. And you know that the Ionian University is in a period of time of strategic planning and ambitious dreaming in order to do research and help us in the development side. So what I have to say is the condition is really beneficial for us and positive, and we cooperate with local authorities. They are our co-partners. So we are, I'm sorry, Mr. Minister, we have some goals, and we are focusing on the needs and the opportunities and, of course, the specific characteristic that our region has. And I would like to say again that the Minister should focus on a global orientation to our region through the ESPA program in order to give us the opportunity to the citizens not to feel excluded, the citizens who live in Ireland, not to feel excluded from other opportunities that maybe the country has. And I believe that the economy of the country will be a rise, and we are a region, maybe the unique region that don't have connection. We don't have fights between with us. And we are not connected in us. We don't have our cohesion. It's much more difficult, and it is focusing on the civilization that we have. We don't have a connectivity between the islands. So, Mr. Skalkos wants to say some things. It is what we are problematic. We are here in order to solve the problems, in order to go a step forward. I would like to say for 1 second, I would like to add that in the islands here are really important, and we put the islands under discussion. As Greek government, and I'm expressing the Prime Minister's opinion, we believe that we want to focus on the policy that the islands have to take advantage of their geographical place. And we are finding some programs of the islands, as for example, the PEP, and we are talking about the development policies that we are following of the islands. At the same time, it's not so simple there are many other programs that it's not easy to transform and say and analyze here, but we are doing our best in order to help territorially and geopolitically give them the value and the strategic that they need, as they have to do with the marine and many other issues. Our job is to have a connection between the strategy and the regional strategy that you are developing all the time. The most important from today is that you said is that the program of the development program of the regional should be focused on the regional. I believe that this year it is really difficult, and many years ago happened that. The same thing happens, is that we face great difficulties in a European level in order to see the regions as separate parts of the nation. But we have at the same time to think how to combine and to develop the developing rates more, as for example. And on the other hand, the traditional policy, how to have the traditional cohesion policy established in order to have a balance between national and regional policies that we have to follow. This time we'll be asked to find a solution and a middle way of thinking in order to be more adequate in many levels. And now we are starting a new discussion on how we are going to solve this problem. You are not just members who take action of the policy, that we have a national policy. Every day you are going to prove that you have your regional policy that you need. The next step that Mr. Schinas would be here in order to speak and give us a solution to many more things. But we believe that the recovery fund, and we can promise that we are working on that and how the recovery fund would help regionally your problems. I won't say that we will give the complete freedom to regional strategies to follow their policies, but we have to focus on the national level and the strategy. But at the same time, we have to enroll the strategies. We are going to close with Mr. Kostas. Can Miss Governor go to Brussels immediately in order to speak? What do you think, Mr. Kostas? I believe that we have made great improvement the last 2 years on how the regions and the role they have in the European Parliament. And recently, with the President von der Leyen, President Mistake, we've made a lot of efforts and steps give the regions another way of thinking. And I believe that the regions have a more vital role than they have years ago. Regions nowadays, for the European Parliament, we have the role in order to transform the funds to real actions. As Mr. Scalar said, and I have a great cooperation with him, we believe that, in my opinion, we have a strategy of centralization. And that's why we believe that the regional policy, we are talking about regional governments. I think that we have made a great effort on that. It's not centralized, the governance of Greece. It's regional in some way. And I believe if we trust the program of regions, and some of them are really dynamic, we can succeed on the vision that you want. You are one step forward, but we have to trust the regions again. We hope so, Mr. Kostas. I would like to thank you so much. I would like to apologize because we didn't have the opportunity to have an overall message of you, but you give a great point on the discussion, but I hope we have in the future another opportunity. I would like to thank all of you, all the participants and attendants that you are attending us. Mr. Governor, we started with the hymns of and we are going to listen to our and Greek national song, because we have celebrating the 200 years of our revolution, the revolution that started from Greece. And we had, in the 21st of May, we had here in Corfu. And the national song that came from 6 children voices. And of course, yes, of course, we have 6 children chorus of our countries that was produced by the Ionian University. And we would like to close this event with this emotional way. And thank you so much for all of you. And I hope the next time we have many more positive things to discuss about. Thank you so much.
Because